Hello and welcome back to the 5-minute challenge. It is hosted by the Ugly Art Club. They are providing the prompts and I am following along each day, and hopefully you get inspired to create along also. So today is day number 7 and high heels is the prompt. Now, if you saw the picture at the beginning of this video, you're going to be like, Brooke, that has nothing to do with high heels. What is going on? Well, you know me and you know that I do not do realistic. I didn't even want to attempt to draw a pair of high heels or print out a picture, or it just doesn't fit with my aesthetic doing something realistic like that. But that doesn't have to stop you from it being what inspires you for the page. Okay, so what I was thinking with this one, well, first I'm going to do some collage down on the paper. That's kind of a fun way to get started. It gets rid of that blank page kind of fear, that white page just staring back at you. It gets something down on the page. Things become less precious and you're able to just actually work a little bit better. And plus, if you're going to bring in paints or different colors like this, you don't always want that collage to be what's sitting on top. Sometimes you want that collage to come down from underneath. Okay, so back to what my inspiration was for this one. So high heels is the prompt. My thoughts went to, if you've ever worn a pair of high heels and tried to walk in grass, your heels will always get stuck in that grass and create like holes in the grass, like you're aerating the lawn. Anyway, when I start doing some stitching here in a bit, you're gonna see where that kind of inspiration, like I talked about before how I come up with what I'm going to do for these 5 minutes. And sometimes you just have to take the first thing that pops in your head, no matter how obscure it is. So my brain went to how annoying it is if you're wearing like a stiletto high heel in grass. So I'm adding in a little bit more texture here with that chartreusey color, and it kind of resembles grass. I'm okay that, the realism at that point is out the window. I just want to go with whatever is inspiring me, but I love the stray edges here and the organicness of that piece of fabric that I used, adding in a few little scribbles. And then I picked out a thread and I pre-threaded it ahead of time to save myself a little bit of time. I'm going to do some messy French knots into this paper itself. When I first did my French knot here, my plan was not for it to be messy, but since I was rushing so quickly, trying to fit as much into that 5 minutes as possible, they turned out messy, and then I decided just to go with it and make them all messy like that. Sometimes you have those happy little accidents that you don't plan on, but then they happen and you actually like the look of it better. I thought with the grass, it was kind of perfect to do like those messy French knots. So you can just imagine like the heels poking into the fabric the grass. I loved this thread too that I had in my stash. It's a silk thread, and I don't use it very often just because I don't have as much of it, and it was probably more expensive, but it's always silly because we keep those things in our stash and then don't use them. But I fully believe that if you bought it, you liked it well enough, you should use it. Otherwise, sitting there, it doesn't do anyone any good either. So I'm going to continue on with these knots for a little bit, and I'm going to speed up just a little bit because it's going to be the same thing over and over here. Honestly, I'm impressed with myself with how much I did get done in 5 minutes. I got basically, I think, most of the French knots I was planning on doing done within that time. If I was without a time limit, I probably would have gone crazy overboard and just kept adding knots to all of that black kind of portion. But sometimes less is better, and just having a few nice contrasting French knots in here actually probably makes more of an impact than having a whole lot of them, just because it's so unusual even to begin with to have those French knots even on paper. So that's kind of fun. So I did a few more here, and I'm going to tie off on the back hand side, and I don't know why I was having issues tying this knot. I should have just taken a piece of masking tape from the beginning and just taped that down so it was out of the way. I still needed to add that prompt tab on to the front. Sometimes when you're in the moment and something frustrating like this happens, you know that you could do another solution, but the fact that it's not tying a knot like it should be kind of is the frustrating part, and you just want to prove that you can do it at that point. I don't know if anybody else is like me in that realm where it's like, well, it shouldn't be this difficult, so I'm just going to do it. I'm going to keep trying until I get it. Anyway, that may be a stubbornness issue. So, okay, so I have my little prompt cut out here and I'm deciding where I want it. I think it would be fun keeping things kind of heavy on the left side of the page. Having that asymmetry will keep things interesting, I think. And layering always adds more intrigue and interest onto your page as well. I wanted to really make that prompt, those words stand out a little bit more. Overall, I think my printer printed things off lighter, so they're a little bit harder to read. I know I could have gone over them and like handwritten over them or typed up new ones, but I wanted to use the tabs that were there. And so I decided with a black China marker to go like do a circle around it. And I just went over the fabric and everything. I wanted to see what that would look like. I love the idea of incorporating fabric more often into my work, and it doesn't have to be treated differently than paper collage does. We can add in the fabric as well. So I really had no idea for this complimentary spread what I was going to do with it. I decided with an art marker to kind of emulate those French knots that I did. I wasn't sure. You can see I kind of started on one side of the page. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it kind of uneven or go across the whole thing. My goal in the end was not to take away from the main spread, but just to add to it in a nice way. I'm trying to be really loose with my scribbles. I mean, keeping them so they look like little dots, but within each scribble, I'm trying to be loose with it. And I'm holding my pen a little different than I normally would have, a little bit looser, trying to be looser with my movements, and that helps to get more organic shaped marks, I believe. I'll go ahead and link the supplies that I'm using down in the description below, like always. So if you're curious about those, make sure to check that out first. I most likely will have linked it there, but if I forgot something, of course, please let me know and I can find what that is for you. So I'm adding just a little bit more scribbles, really that haphazard look. I liked how it was on the main page, and so just adding a little bit of that in on this page as well. It's a lot of small marks next to each other, and so the scribbles and different marks help alleviate the busyness of it, but I don't mind the busyness of it. I think the main page is more basic overall. Like there's more negative space left with the large amount of black on the left and the large amount of white on the right. And so it was okay to have a little bit busier of a second spread. I hope that you guys liked this prompt. I want to see what you guys are creating. So tag me if you wish, and I would love to see it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day number 8. Have a good one.